Hi Gemini, I want to welcome you to Yellow Cardinal Tarot. With me, my name is Carol, and this is going to be a general reading for you for April 2025. And this is a channel that focuses on you, and in particular, your journey to self, your journey back to your authentic you, and back to the person you're always meant to be. And so in today's reading, I'm going to be doing the Yellow Cardinal Cross spread. And it's a spread that really focuses, first of all, on an issue or decision, pattern maybe that's showing up in your life right now. I'm going to look at the conscious influence on it. So it's going to be something that you're aware of that's influencing the situation. And then I'm going to look at the unconscious influence, and it's something that you're not aware of. It's something that's sitting in your shadow, in the unconscious. And so we're going to pull that up, and really that's what needs to heal. And so once we are aware of that, I'm also going to look at what's needed for resolution for you. And then I'll look at some advice from the tarot, get some guidance, and I'll also provide you with a playlist or a video at the end that I can suggest for you if you would like to see that. I also do want to mention that I am doing personal readings, and the link for that is in my description box or in the comment section, actually. So today's reading, I'm going to be using the Curious Travels deck. I said that to myself, you know, Gemini is a curious sign. They're very inquisitive, you know, they're kind of in the know, they want to know. And it was like, I'm going to use Curious Travels for them today. And then I'm going to be using, for I think the first time ever, I don't even know if I've used this deck, but it's that little mini Rider-Waite deck. And it's been sitting around. I bought it for the fun of it for a while back, you know, years ago, I think. And it was like, okay, it's like one of those ones I bring with me for traveling. But it was calling me. I was like, I'm going to use that one today. And then I'm going to pull an oracle card for you, Shaman's Dream Oracle. And that's going to be at the end of the reading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on speed shuffle right now. And I'll be back in 3 seconds. Okay, Gemini, I'm back. So, interesting. I always like to pay attention to any cards that are repeated in the reading. So first thing I noticed for you was that you have the Ten of Pentacles twice. Ten of Pentacles is a very important card, and I will explain it, and you'll find out how it is showing up, why it is showing up in your reading. So we'll get to that. Now, let's begin with an issue or a situation or a pattern. I'll give a combination of some things going on here. So let's start off with the main card, and then you got two clarifiers. Usually I just want to pull out one, but two fell out. This was a reading where a few cards fell out extra at the bottom. 3 cards fell out for clarifiers. So there's some real message that's coming out for you, I think. You start off with the Knight of Wands, and the knights in my deck are what I call freedom, my freedom fighters. And we all have this part, it's like an adolescent part of us that wants, if you think of an adolescent, there are 2 things that an adolescent want. I'm a retired teacher, so I taught high school like for 30 years pretty much. And adolescents want 2 things. Number 1, they want to do what they want to do. So they want their freedom, and they don't want to be controlled. They don't want to be controlled. So, and they are very much those 2 things. Like, they don't want their freedom. They don't want to be controlled. They want to do what they want to do. And this particular part of you is, especially because it's the wand. The wand represents our creative purpose, the direction that we're meant to go towards. I think you're feeling this need, wanting this freedom in your life. I mean, who doesn't want freedom, right? You want this freedom to do what you want to do, be who you want to be. Also, I miss the word authentic. Teenagers really want to be authentic. They just want to be themselves. And so I think there's a part of you, and this is what this channel is always all about, right? Going towards that authentic you. And so you're struggling with it. And the reason why I know that you're struggling with it And oftentimes, if we have this part that's continually pulling at us, it can come and it can go and it can come and it can go. But oftentimes, because it's a part that tries to pull us towards our authentic self, it can get really it can get almost like anger. You can have some anger around it. You can also have some real hopelessness. And maybe you're struggling with that. And maybe you're struggling with hopelessness because, maybe you're thinking, well, it's too late. Maybe I'm this old, I can't do it. Or for any particular reason, you might be telling yourself, why bother? I can't do this now. It's too late. Well, let me tell you, you're never, ever, ever, ever too late to do anything that you want to do in your life. There's no such thing as an age limit. There's nothing that should hold you back. But I think you're feeling like you're really being held back here. You also have the 8 of Swords over there. And we'll look at that. That's coming from your unconscious, but that is really a card that feels like you're trapped, feeling like you can't get out. You can't. So this is interesting. Maybe that's kind of an overriding theme here. Then you have the Devil card that comes in, and like I said, this is a healing channel. So the Devil card talks about attachments, being attached to things, right? Humans get attached to things, and in particular, we get attached to addictions. And this is my addiction card. I myself have gone through, because I'm on my own healing journey and my intensive healing for my own complex trauma. I have hung on to a number of attachments, because when we're feeling this hopelessness, this pain, this drive of wanting to be free, and maybe there's a sense of, like I said, not being able to get free, we can really feel hopeless. And that brings up a lot of pain in us. And so we'll numb it. That's what addictions are. Addictions are there because we use them to numb. And I don't have to sit here and tell you, I'm not going to, about, your addictions and how you need to give them up. And that was one of my main questions, I think, when I started my own therapy 8 years ago, was like, well, what about my eating? Because that was my main addiction at the time. What about my eating? What do I do with that? And it was never something my therapist said, you need to give it up, or you need to watch it, or it was more try to bring awareness to when I go to grab a certain food, right? Mine was always sugar. And like what's coming up in your system, because we will go to our addictions when there's stuff stirring inside of us, like hopelessness. And then you have the Wheel of Fortune card coming here, and it's in reverse. And the Wheel of Fortune talks about, changes in circumstances. And I think of the Wheel of Fortune like this Ferris wheel where you get on and it stops to let people, and then you continue on, and then you might stop over here to let people on, and then finally it'll go a bit, for your ride that you've paid money for. And then, so maybe you're kind of stuck. Maybe you're stuck on your Ferris wheel right now. It's interesting because it was just yesterday I was listening to something, and they talked kind of like that wheel of life, and sort of there was something about destiny, and they were describing something, and I sat there and I went, oh my God, that's kind of a new revelation for me about my Wheel of Fortune card. I said, I have to remember that. And it's interesting that it came up today in the reading. And a lot of times that'll come for me. It's like a new meaning for a card will come up, and it's like, that's a new meaning. So this is what I heard yesterday for you, was we have the potential. Like, I think a lot of us think our destiny is carved in stone. Like, this is just the way it's meant to be. And yesterday I heard that, we have the power to nudge our destiny in a different direction. And I think this is what this is saying. It's like, you may be stuck right now, and maybe you're caught up in some addictions because you're feeling very hopeless, and you're wanting to get free and take your life and go do what you want to do. But you have the power here. You have the power, Gemini, to nudge, to change your direction. And that was something like, wow, that is so, to me, that was like such a positive, powerful message that comes through, because oftentimes, you know, we can read the Wheel of Fortune as, oh, it's just a change of circumstances, there's nothing you can do about it. But in this case, it's like, there is something you can do about it, right? And I think oftentimes, like I said, we get stuck and we think there's nothing we can do about it. So that's the situation you're sitting in right now. So what is the conscious influence? What do you know about your life that's influencing this? What are you quite aware of? Well, here's the Five of Cups. And I mean, I think I was kind of hit the nail on the head here when I talked about maybe hopelessness, and because this card right here is definitely, my Five of Cups is my card of loneliness, if you want. It's your card of hopelessness, where this individual is focusing on three cups that have tipped over, and they're kind of, that's where their focus is, and they're stuck on those three cups, not seeing the other two cups, not seeing this bridge over here that, you know what, I can just go over here. And that's kind of this Wheel of Fortune card, this nudging the destiny, right? It's just like, what if I go over here? What if I go over here? And not noticing that there's this water in the background, the flowing of the emotions. And with hopelessness and depression, when we get in that, I mean, I know what that is. I've spent, you know, lots of time sitting on my couch and not being able to get off of it because I was stuck in this state of depression. I had no idea how to get out of it. I do journal now. I do journal. That's the only way I can get out, is just to say, why bother? Nothing's going to change. But it's so hard when you're stuck in that place to get your ass off the couch. I mean, it's so hard. But when you remember this, when you're not in hopelessness, that you can get out of this. You can change your destiny a bit here. I know there's something else I want to say. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say was, when you are in a state of hopelessness, what people don't realize about depression is that it really is not about now. And I had to learn that over and over and over again in my last 8 years of intensive therapy, was that my depression is not about now. It's about something that happened to you when you were younger, when you couldn't get out of your situation. And here's the trapped card, the Eight of Swords. That person can't get out. You gave up when you were younger. I can see it already in your unconscious. We're going to get to that in a minute. But right now you're sitting in a situation where you are giving up. You are giving up and you're feeling quite depressed and hopeless about a situation right now. But you can get out of this. And so, but that's what you're aware, that's what you're aware of. You're aware that you're stuck in this depression. You could go in and out of it. What's in reverse is the Ten of Pentacles, and this is the first time we see it. Like I said, it's repeating itself again right here for the resolution. And so this is in reverse because I think there's a resistance on your part to looking at it, a fear. I think you're aware. Let's turn it upwards here. What are you aware of? Well, the Ten of Pentacles speaks about, first of all, it's a generation card. It has 3 generations on this card. It has an older, wiser man here at front, a magician looking with his coat on. And then you have another generation, maybe his children. And then you have a really young child here that's kind of hanging on the coat of their parent. And so there's 3 different generations here. Oftentimes it's seen as a family card, but I see it as a generation card first and foremost. The other thing that's very important on the Ten of Pentacles is this formation of these 10 pentacles right here. It's a formation that sometimes readers overlook, and it's not always in every card, because in this card it's not in this card. And I always do talk about it because it's the formation of the Kabbalistic tree of life, and it's a Jewish. Comes from the Jewish culture, and it's a study. Like, they study each of these little nodes here, these pentacles. There's a study, and they study their lineage to find out who they are, where they came from. And so for me, the Ten of Pentacles represents generational trauma, things that you inherited from your parents, your caretakers, your grandparents, whoever took care of you, whoever raised you. What did you inherit? So it's really a question of, take a look at, I think it's time for you. I think especially if, for instance, I'm just going to take an example. If you've been diagnosed with bipolar, for example, and I mean, because I'm talking about depression here, because, bipolar brings about the real low lows and the manic high highs. And so if chances are you had a parent or a grandparent or maybe both that had the same diagnosis, and it's kind of like, I think you're consciously aware of that. I think you're aware that there's something here that is in your family that maybe has been handed down to you. And I think there's some awareness that needs to come here, especially that has to do with your depression and your hopelessness. But right behind it is this Ace of Wands. Fabulous it's incredible that you got this card. The Ace of Wands, the aces in my deck talk about an offer from the universe. It's a gift. It's like Gemini. Here's a wand. And the wand is, let's go towards this new direction. The wand is our purposeful direction, taking a different direction. The universe wants to take you, and maybe you know that. Maybe you're sensing that there's this direction that you're being pulled towards. And it's no surprise I talked about that. The first card was your Knight of Wands, and that pull. You're feeling that pull, that freedom to go into a new direction, but for some reason you're like, So I think all this depression and this hopelessness is really centered around, and the addiction part of it is like feeling so hopeless that you can't do this. Like you can't nudge your life into in a different direction. But I'm here to say that you can. And so what's sitting in your shadow, and this is what's really important, this part. This is the part you need to heal. It's in your unconscious. What's sitting here that's coming from your childhood that you are actually, it's like a flashback. Like I said, your hopelessness is not about now. It's about something that happened to you when you're younger. And so you start off with in a sideways position, which is another ace here, Ace of Cups. And I think I'm going to say that the Ace of Cups talks about emotions, love, desires, wishes. When you were younger, I think you might have tried to express your emotions, because this is all about emotions, but it's buried here. Like it's almost like you almost gave up. I think you learned at a very young age, it's like, I don't think emotions are for me. I don't think you felt like you owned your own emotions, that you had the right to use your own emotions. And because the Emperor card comes right behind it. And the Emperor card for me, especially because it's sitting in your unconscious, talks about this father-like figure, a very solid number 4 card for the major arcana. So it's the archetype of this individual that sits here on their chair who has created all these like father-like rules, these imaginary societal rules that you need to follow. So to me, especially like I said, because it's in your shadow, it's like it represents a real controlling environment that you came from. And so because I think you were so controlled when you were younger, you knew that your emotions didn't matter, and you really didn't have access to them because, you were controlled. And so you weren't you. And I think that's where that freedom fighters wanting to go in that direction, get yourself free from whatever situation you're in. But there's this whole sense of still feeling like you're controlled. And that's where that 8 of Swords comes in right now. When you were younger, you were in a situation where you were trapped. You couldn't get out of it. But here's the thing. You can get out of it now. You are an adult. You can nudge your destiny in a certain direction. You know, you can get out of this hopelessness. You can get yourself out of it, because hopelessness is really almost like a screen for other emotions that are behind it. When you were younger and you were controlled, do you not think that you had a shit ton of anger at these people that were controlling you, that told you no, and this is the way you're supposed to feel? There's a lot of grief. There's a lot of shame that's sitting behind there as well. And so you need to get to these emotions, but right now they're you're very much numbing them out, I think, by your addictions. And remember, addictions can be things like, you know, binging on Netflix, or there's all kinds of addictions we can find. It's just basically keeping ourselves distracted and up in our heads. So what's the resolution here? What's needed for resolution? Well, the Ten of Pentacles cards is what's needed. So there's some real awareness that's needed around this whole situation. I think you need to become aware of the trauma that you had when you were younger, the trauma that's been handed down to you, like what happened to you how were you raised, what happened to you when you were younger, and take a look at what happened to the people that raised you. What happened to them? What's their story? Because their story's your story. Because they'll hand down the shame to you. There's a lot of grief and a lot of anger behind it. Right behind the Ten of Pentacles comes the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles is my card of unworthiness, not mattering. Because there is and very much shame. There is these two individuals that are walking by this place of worship. They don't even consider the fact that they can go into that place to ask for warmth, clothes. They don't feel like they deserve it. And so I think you need to ask yourself, you know, does you have this shame. Shame is not something we're born with. It's handed down to us. And so where does this come from? People shamed me when I was younger. I felt like I didn't matter. I wasn't allowed to use my emotions. I was coming from a controlled environment. I felt like I was trapped in that environment. And you have a lot of shame here that you need to feel. And the Queen of Swords is the last card here for what's needed for resolution. The Queen is the archetype, the feminine archetype. We all have this feminine side and a masculine side. It has nothing to do with our gender. And the Queen side, especially the Queen that holds the sword, she holds the sword of authenticity, of who you really are, of getting back to finding your truth. It's the sword of truth. And you have this Queen that's saying, you know, it's almost like she comes on and wants you to take on this journey of, what is your truth? Here's your generational card, your trauma. What is your truth? Getting back to who you really are. And you've had a couple aces here, and in particular, you know, you've had that one ace over here that wants to bring you to your purpose. And there's some more real feminine energy. You have two cards right here. We're going to go to the guidance from the tarot. You have two cards here that are strong feminine energy again. So there's a real, I'm going to say feminine energy that's kind of like floating on the top of all of this right now. And like I said, I guess it's nothing to do with your gender. It's just there's this real pull. I'm going to look at what else is coming up for you towards, your feminine side, which has been repressed in all of us. And so what's guidance from the tarot is the first one. You know, you're sitting in some kind of a situation, and I don't know what your situation is, but the Six of Swords, when it comes up in my, these beautiful starlings, that whole flock of them, they're gorgeous. They always come in my window and I can't stop looking at them. And so maybe that means something for you. I don't know. But the Six of Swords is really a card about this shaman figure that's, it's a spiritual card, in that it has the spiritual guide. There's a guide here that's taking you to a safer place. This is my card of safety. This is my card that says, Gemini, are you safe right now? Are you in a safe place? Because you're feeling like you want to, first of all, you don't feel like you can get free. You don't feel like you can go towards, nudge your destiny a bit. And you're feeling quite hopeless. So then the safety card comes in. So it's like, are you in a safe place? Do you need to get yourself safe? Because it's really hard when you're not in a safe place if you're around people that are toxic. Your own family, your family of origin can be toxic, friends, partner you're living with. It's really important that you get yourself to safety so that you can take your life in this new direction. Sometimes when we close doors, well, all the time when we close doors for ourselves, others will open up. Now, the two cards that come out here, this feminine energy, that you have this on your side that's rooting for you. The first one is your High Priestess, and that's the second card in the Major Arcana. And it's actually the first card of the feminine energy in the Major Arcana, and the second one is the Empress. The second card is number 3 in the Major Arcana. This one, the High Priestess, and right now she's blocked. You're not aware maybe that you have this. In an upright position, our High Priestess is our inner guidance. She represents the feminine quality of having intuition. Everybody has intuition. It's that inner guidance. It's that gut knowing that's inside of us. And I'm wondering if, sometimes when we have this gut knowing, we can get, if we're very much in our addictions, then we're not in our body. Our addictions will keep us very much up in our head, because that's what our ego self likes to do, right? Ego self is what's responsible for our addictions. It doesn't want us to touch our pain. It doesn't want us to touch our emotions. But there's this, we have to be in our body to feel and to get in touch with our intuition. Our intuition, once you get in a safe place, you get in touch with your intuition. Whatever that means for you, your safety, you're going to get in touch with your inner knowing. It's going to tell you what your next step is. The Queen of Wands is here. And again, it's the second time that the Queen has shown up. You had the Queen of Swords, and now you get the Queen of Wands. Well, the Queen is the one that holds the the wand here of creativity, of purpose, of going into purposeful direction, actually. And so she's here to lead you. Once you get in touch with your intuition, you're going to know where to go. You're going to know where to go. And here you are, my favorite card, one of my favorite cards in the deck. It's the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands reminds me of myself when I went on this journey. And all I wanted to do was heal. All I wanted to do. And yet I had people that didn't support me, from my family of origin in particular, that wanted me to get off that pedestal, that wanted me to come down, that didn't want me to talk about what went on with me when I was younger. And here they are, wanting to take me off that pedestal. And maybe you don't feel supported, and I'm wondering if that's what this safety card is. You need to get yourself surrounded by people, and only the people who will continue to be on your side and support you 1,000%. And the rest of the people have to go. And that's what this journey is. A big part of this journey is letting go of people that don't support you. So this is a beautiful reading for you. I think what I'm going to leave you with is a playlist on shame, because shame came up here, and not mattering. I'll also leave you with a playlist on depression. And so you can pick whichever one you want. And there's some good videos in there from my other channel called Carol Cares. And I'll teach you how to journal from your shame, from your depression. That's really important. If you can look at those in particulars, the depression playlist will have how to journal from your depression. That's important. That's how I get out of my hopelessness. And so, Gemini, I'm going to leave you with a final card here. Oracle card. So it's straddling worlds, wandering between realms. When the straddling world card shows up, it's an invitation to get used to living with one foot in the old world and one foot in the new. And I think you're kind of dipping your toe into that new world. There is no going back to the way things once were, and what will be is not yet fully here. You must find the delicate balance that can bring you delight as you relish the past and all your memories, along with awe as you glimpse the astonishing and exciting future. And that's really talking about this Wheel of Fortune here, how you're going to kind of nudge yourself into a new world, your new destiny. Do not wait for applause. Move on quietly, humbly, invisible to others. That's important with this right here. I wasn't so invisible to people, you know. Now, maybe I would have been more invisible. I don't know. This card brings an invitation to begin not only a new chapter, but a new book in your life. Do not break the news to anyone. Let people be as surprised as you are as you reinvent yourself. Make sure you are not just a slightly improved and more polished version of a dated and obsolete you. Birth yourself into someone original. Do not feel like you have to explain yourself or be understood by anyone. Become a mystery, even to yourself. Gaze into the mirror one morning and be pleasantly surprised. Straddling Worlds invites you to become a true wizard, not one who performs magic tricks, but one who has mastered the dance between the visible and the invisible worlds, between the realms of form and formlessness. You are the birther of new ideas, of original and sustainable ways of being in the world. What an amazing card for you. I want you to have compassion for yourself, Gemini, for what you're working through. This journey to heal yourself is the most difficult one, but it's the most important one. So stay safe, and I'll talk soon. Bye-bye.